Hello. I was like, but hello everybody. I am back. It's been a while since I've made some videos. Well, I have some pre-recorded videos, but I want to get this video out of the way first, since it is officially June, and for the people that don't know, June is Scoliosis Awareness Month, and I have scoliosis. So I wanted to make this video and kind of just talk about my journey and how it's been like for me. But I've made a poem about this a while ago. See, I'm looking at my computer right now. But I made this poem back in 2018, and then I decided to revise it about 2 months ago this year. So I want to just start off like by reading this poem, and then you guys can kind of get a feel of my journey throughout the poem, because this poem is very it's detailed and it's long, and it kind of gives you a lot about my journey and stuff like that. So yeah, and then I'm just gonna also just talk a little bit more about my journey, because I feel like it's important to spread awareness about scoliosis. A lot of people don't know about it that much, and you know, I had to learn about it from a very long I had to learn about it from a very young age, so I wanted to bring this on my channel and let you guys know about my journey, so stay tuned. So the poem is written on my computer, and I'm just going to be looking down at my computer reading it. But yeah, so the title of my poem is This Story Written on My Back. Before we start on this journey, here is some important information that you may need. According to the Mayo Clinic, scoliosis is, quote, a sideways curvature of the spine that occurs most often during the growth spurt just before puberty. This is a term I know too well, not just the definition, but is a part of my story. Now I'm going to get into the actual poem. Bent, not broken, is what I tell myself. Bent, not broken, is a framed picture I have hanging on my wall. Bent, not broken, is my daily reminder of my curved spine. I have scoliosis, and this is the story written on my back. At the age of 6, I walked into a surgical unit preparing for my first surgery ever. Think about that. 6. Little did I know that this was the first step in my journey. The nurse drew my blood, and then I started crying. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to escape. Once that was done, I was taken into a room to play games. While I waited for everything to be prepared, there was a knock on the door. It was time to go. I was wheeled off into the operating room. I remember looking around and seeing everyone in blue gowns and bright white lights. A nurse came up to me and told me to relax. She put a mask over my face and told me to count backwards. I said 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Once I got to 6, my eyes started to get really heavy, so I shut them. After that surgery, I woke up. I remember lying in a hospital bed, hearing the sounds of monitors. I tried to get up and search for my mom. I couldn't quite move. It felt like a ton of bricks was weighing me down. So I cried out for my mom, and the nurse came and brought her. The surgery part was easy, but what followed was the real challenge. The real challenge was that this was only one surgery out of 7. I had a total of 7 back surgeries. Yes, 7. So it hit me. No wonder 7 seems to be my lucky number now. I had to learn how to walk again 7 times. I had to go through struggles 7 times. I had constant checkups and check-ins and Sorry, let me repeat that. I had constant checkups and check-ins and Xrays. My life was a never-ending cycle of rising up and falling back down. I wasn't a normal kid. I was on bed rest. Everyone was cautious of me playing outside. No one could bump into me or make me fall. I couldn't do PE, which everyone thought was cool except me. I had my last surgery at the age of 14. This was the toughest and most dangerous one. If I didn't do this surgery, I could end up paralyzed. But the surgery itself was risky. Actually, let me rephrase that. Side note, basically my last surgery, it was either if I don't get the surgery, I wouldn't be able to stand up straight anymore, so I would basically be bent over for the rest of my life. But that could also lead to being paralyzed, and even doing this surgery, it was very risky for me, just because of this procedure. The last procedure was one of the toughest procedures that I had to go through, and it required a longer time for me to recover. So now I'm gonna go back into the story. But the surgery itself was risky. I had people telling me to do it, while I had others say don't. Ultimately, they left the decision up to me. I had the choice because it's my life. I didn't want to have the choice. I couldn't do it, but I had to. I agreed to have the surgery. I ended up with 2 broken ribs because the rod needed to fit. So now I have trouble catching my breath. But that was my last surgery. You may think everything is back to normal now, but no, I still deal with scoliosis. I now have this long embedded scar on my back that follows me everywhere. I used to be embarrassed of it, always trying to cover it up. I didn't want people to see it. I didn't want people to know I've been through a tough situation. My mom once told me, my scar is a sign that I'm a warrior. Something that once was a flaw to me, I now embrace. I want to share my story without hiding behind my scar. Scoliosis creates survivors. Scoliosis creates warriors. Scoliosis has silenced me in the past. It took me a long time to realize I have a voice. This is my story. Yes, it's written on my back. Yes, I have a curve that I think is pretty rad. Scoliosis may have curved my spine, but it shapes me into the warrior I am today. And then this is just a closing statement. It takes a while to embrace something you have viewed as a flaw for a very long time. Something that has caused constant pain, never seems to go away. We have scars that people don't know about. We hide them away. We sometimes let the pain take away our voice. We stay silent. I let my scar take over my body and my image. I wasn't in control. If I could leave you all with one message, it's scoliosis is real and it affects many people. One thing I know for sure is scoliosis has created warriors out of us. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and just give a little bit more details and stuff like that. Yes, it is true. Well, I guess how did I find out that I had scoliosis? So basically, my dad has like a I guess you would say mild case of scoliosis, and it's basically more common in girls. So this is why none of my brothers have scoliosis, but I was basically I'm the only one out of my family that has scoliosis, and it did get passed down to me from my dad. He didn't have to go through any surgeries or anything like that, so his was mild, so it wasn't any like situation where he had to like go through pretty much what I had to go through. Um, Now when I found out, I was at least, I want to say around 5, just because everything didn't start flowing until I was like around 6 or 7, if I remember correctly. And this is also the thing with just having a lot of constant like surgeries and stuff like that. You don't remember everything, so I'm just gonna try to give you guys what I guess I remember, just because of all the medication and anesthesia, whatever it's called, just all of that that's been in my system and stuff like that. Like, I don't remember every detail. If I was able to, I would gladly share with everybody. But yeah, I don't remember every detail. I know, like, my parents and my siblings have told me, you know, their side of it. But yeah, so let's see. So yeah, I was very young when I found out. I started off the poem with just talking about my first ever surgery, but how did it get to that? Basically, after checkups that I had in my hometown, they realized that I potentially had scoliosis, so I had to go to more of like a children's hospital. So if you know about, well, the Children's Hospital Madeira is the hospital that I went to constantly since the age of 5 to 6 years old, and then all the way to 14 years old. So I was there, yeah, all the time. I would get checkups there and had my surgeries there, and it was a journey because my family we had to drive all the way, you know, up there from my hometown. So that was only the, you know, kind of the little issue. So my very first surgery, I don't remember like fully so much about that, just because I was 6 years old. So I can't really provide too much details about that. I do remember my last surgery more clear, but just some like in between surgery moments, like, I know because I was young. So basically when you get there, you have to fast first off. And if you ever had surgery before, you usually fast at first, so there's no food in your system. And then we would wake up super early in the morning to get to Madeira Hospital in order to get there on time, like, because my surgery would be around like the morning time, right? So we'd have to leave like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, just to travel down to Madeira and to check in around like 8ish. So when they opened, yeah, around there. So I'd always have to check in into the emergency room, just because the main hospital, well, I had to go through the emergency room, or like through the surgical area or whatever like that. And I remember, like I said, I don't remember so much. I remember one story. So, well, this is a story that I like remember a lot. I was in my bed, and so this is after one of my surgeries, and I was in my bed, and they had to go take me to do X-rays. And so usually for X-rays, I was just gone by myself. My mom was in the room with me, but she stayed behind. So they took me to go do X-rays, and so the person that took me is an, you know, X-ray technician or whatever, not a nurse or a doctor. So it was around the time that I was supposed to get my pain medication, but they wanted to finish my X-rays first. So I literally was in pain, like, doing the X-rays, and I was just in so much pain, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is just too much. So then when I finally got back, they were like, oh, like, you know, she needs some medicine and stuff like that. So they finally gave me my medicine. I remember, since I like always had to take medicine constantly, like not just at the hospital, but even when I got home, I had to always take my medicine and stuff like that. And since I always recovered and then went back into surgery again, it was a constant thing of me always being on medication. and stuff like that, and me always, you know, that's why I don't remember everything, because the pain of like having a back surgery and like trying to recover and stuff like that, it's a lot on the body. And it was just a lot for me personally. I remember there was another story where I was going back home, and so all my family was with me, and they were taking me back home from the hospital, and we had to go stop at like a Rite Aid or a Walgreens or something like that in order to get my prescription filled. They were planning on just waiting until we got back home, but car rides after having back surgery is just horrible. Like, the bumps, every little thing hurts, even if there was not bumps in the road. Just like the turns, and it was just like I was like, I am in pain, y'all. Like, I can't do this. So literally, like, we went to a Rite Aid or whatever, and they filled out my prescription and got me the medicine. And since I had to take lots of medicine, I guess my body didn't reject it, but there was a point where I wasn't able to swallow pills anymore. So I just always, even now to this day, I just kind of have trouble swallowing pills, just because I, like, mentally in my head, I know, like, it's medicine and it's good for me, but it's just that I don't want it. I don't know, it's a whole like mind thing, I guess, or whatever. So I would have to get my pills like crushed up and put in applesauce, and that was the only way that like I was able to swallow my pills, just because the pills that I had to take, they were huge. And when I say huge, it was some, I don't know, little, you know, small little pill. Like, no, these were huge pills, and like those were my pain meds, and like I needed those. And since they were so huge, like I could not swallow them for the life of me, so I had to get them put into applesauce and crushed up. And yeah, so there was a lot of recovery moments. I remember my mom, she would like help me walk and stuff. The first few days after surgery is not, you know, that great, just because you can't move around a lot, and it's so weird because it's like you're stuck, and you're very stiff. And yeah, I'm trying to, like, what else should I let you guys know about? But I feel like with scoliosis, a lot of people don't know too much about it, because people that have scoliosis, you can look like a normal person. There's different cases of it. There's cases where you don't even have to have back surgery. There's some cases where they just need a brace. I remember that was at the beginning. I started off with a brace and stuff like that, and the brace wasn't working, so surgery seemed like the only answer for me. And I had to constantly get surgeries. So basically what they do is they put this rod in your back. If I can find a picture, I'll probably insert it or something. So they put a rod in your back to basically straighten your back. But I'll tell you about like the situation for my last surgery. So this was crazy, because so with my surgeries, the first 6 of them, I had the same doctor, and he was always the same surgeon that, you know, did my surgery. So I was perfectly fine with him. You know, around like the 3rd-ish surgery, I was used to him, because I was, you know, like, okay, like, you've done my surgeries before, so I'm totally fine with having you as my surgeon. But then my surgeon actually left and went to LA, I believe. So he left on my like 6th surgery, and little did I know that I didn't know that that was like the end. Kind of thought it was the end, because I was like, well, he's gone or whatever. But then that wasn't actually the end for me. I had to have another surgery, more of like the icing on the cake or whatever. So the very last surgery, when I was 14, yeah, it was very, very risky, because I had two options like for my life, and that's where I was like, wow, like I'm a 14-year-old kid that's like trying to figure out whether they want to be bent over for the rest of their life, or if they want to go through a risky surgery that could potentially paralyze them. And that's a decision that I had to make. Like I said in the poem, I didn't want to, have that decision, because I had people telling me to do it and I had people telling me not to do it. So I was very in between, and I was just like, who do I listen to? I have family members on, both sides. So I was having family telling me to do it, and I was also having family telling me not to do it. So, we weren't in agreement for that one. And I remember my mom sat me down and she said, at the end of the day, it's you that is going to have to go through this, so you're going to have to decide. And the other thing that was difficult was that for that last surgery, I was given another surgeon. Never, met him before then in my life. He did my checkups and stuff like that beforehand, but hold on. Okay, so I totally forgot to kind of like end the video, so I'm kind of ending it right here. I probably like ended it like in a weird position for you guys, but basically, like my last surgery was from like a different doctor, so it was his first time ever like doing a surgery on me. So of course I was pretty terrified because I had my other doctor the whole time beforehand, and but yeah, it did go pretty successful. I haven't had to like go in for any more checkups or anything like that. I do still have some problems, back problems every once in a while, but I just wanted to like make this video. I know it's probably super long, but I just wanted to make this video to kind of like give you guys a sense and like an idea of what it's like to have scoliosis, because like a lot of people don't know about it. It's more known as like a silent disease or whatever you want to call it, like that, but a lot of people don't know about it, and I don't always share my full story. So I just wanted to share it with others and like let people know that you're not alone, and it's a battle. It's a daily struggle. It is a battle that I have to go through, sometimes even by myself, because I'm the only one that kind of knows about it, well, not knows how to deal with it, and it's something that I sometimes hide away from everybody, just because I don't want people to feel bad for me and stuff like that. But yeah, that is all for my video. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let me know what other videos you want to see. Bye.